Hello again.
Good morning again, Emma, and my sweet boy, Erik. I still love you.
He's saying, what would I say?
What would you
He's
say?
saying, of course I love you.
I know
I love
you do.
He's watching. He's going, I love you.
He always does that. That's so sweet. Hey, a lot of people have been requesting an interview with the famous Joan Crawford, an actress back in the day.
Yeah, I had no idea who she was, and I asked Erik. He's like, she's an actress. I'm like, oh, okay. Never heard of her.
Yeah, she's pretty famous, but I don't really know anything about her, to tell you the truth. So, can you go fetch her?
Okay.
Go fetch.
Go fetch. He's going, okay, Mamacita. I'm going to go. But she looks very pretty.
Oh, yeah, she was a real stunning looking woman, if I remember correctly.
She's got nice wavy hair.
Okay.
It looks like it's super soft.
Oh.
She looks pretty tall, so I'm not sure if she was tall, but in my perspective, she looks pretty tall. But I'm not very big, so.
You are not. All right.
Hi, Jordy.
Hi, Miss Crawford. How are you?
She's saying hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, you've been requested a lot, and I have some questions specifically from a blog member, and then I'll ask my usual questions. The first one for this blog member is, Joan, I understand you were born Lucille Fay LeSueur in San Antonio, Texas? Really? What was the reason behind the very painful and difficult relationship with your mother?
My mom had control issues. We'll just call it that. She also blamed a lot of her problems on me. So let's just say that it was not, I didn't have a very great childhood. Let's just say it that way. When my stepfather and my mom divorced, for instance, she blamed that on me because my stepfather had raped me, and so I was the one to blame. When it came to my brother, her relationship with him was a little different because he was a male. She had a thing for females. It didn't really sit with her well. There was some kind of jealousy that her husband rather have sex with her daughter than with her. So there was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of control. I did get beat up on a regular basis. So let's just say that she was mentally not very stable, and that she would, express her frustration out on me.
That's too bad. Wow. Did your mother ever make amends with you later on in her life before she died?
Not really. We there was a little bit of contact, but not to say that we became best buddies or anything like that. It was just like she did her thing, I did my thing, and let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Let's see. Here's a question. Did your mother know that your stepfather was intimate with you at a very young age?
Not at first. She did find out later because she's making me feel like her brother found out, and he kind of mentioned it to the mother. Did they break up right after that? No. She just blamed me for it and forgave him.
That's awful. Did it eventually stop? Did he stop molesting you after it was all out in the open?
It did stop. Not right after, though. He had promised that he wouldn't do it again, but he did do it a few more times in secret. But it did eventually stop, yes.
How old were you?
She's giving me 15, 16, something like that.
Wow, what is that weird sound? Erik, is that you messing with the mic?
It's a bike, yeah.
It's a
So,
motorcycle. Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
my bike doesn't make any more noise, although I miss it. I miss the
I
noise.
know. I bet he does. How did the relationship with your mother and your stepfather affect relationships later in your life? How did their relationship affect your future relationships?
She said, well, because of my unstable childhood and my unstable mother, the rape, and basically the constant confirmation by others that I was poor, ugly, and unworthy. Because we, let's just say that we weren't very wealthy. So I did get picked on a lot by school kids. I did get picked on a lot by children on the street that we weren't, I wasn't as pretty maybe as other ones, and I didn't have the nicest clothes. So all of that, I really became very detached from myself. And because of my need for inner security and my need for acceptance and freedom, I considered feelings and emotions more as a burden.
Oh,
Uh, and so I became detached from my true inner self that way.
wow.
And I mean, it doesn't mean that I didn't have any feelings. I did, but I really closed myself off from my feelings to kind of protect myself. I figured if I don't feel anything, then I'll be okay. I can't be hurt.
Mm,
So from getting, yeah, I mean, she seems very agitated when she talks about this. Her energy really flirts up. Um, she says, I did become successful and accomplished in my career. And as a young lady, I thought I was very courageous because I was, I was really head on in what I wanted. I wanted to become a star. I was going to become wealthy. I was going to become loved. It was almost like I needed that to kind of overcome my past.
wow. What effect did boarding school have on you?
It just highlighted the fact that I was different than everyone else because she's showing me how her father or her stepfather left, and they went back into being extremely poor, her mom and her brother and her. And so she had to basically work. She's showing me how she's taking away dishes, how she's working basically in her own school while everybody else didn't have to do that. So, in order to pay for her
Oh,
staying there, for her education, she was forced to work at a very young
okay.
age.
Dang.
So, again, that highlighted that, that I wasn't worth anything and that I had a really low self-esteem because of that. And
Yeah,
it didn't help me in my education either because I was so tired from always cleaning and making beds and doing this and
I can
mopping
imagine.
and helping in the kitchen. My education really suffered. So on top of that, I started feeling stupid. I started feeling like I didn't have the wits and the smarts to get to where I needed to go.
Poor you. I understand that you were an amazing dancer, though. This person says. Is that true? That probably
That is,
helped you. Probably
I
helped you get.
loved dancing. I loved dancing because when I would go with the energy of the music, I completely forgot who I was. It was just me in my element with this music. And in a way, it connected me with God. Music really made me feel like I was part of something bigger. So that made me feel really good.
Awesome. All right. When you adopted your children, was that through Georgia Tann, Tann? Maybe her. She was a biological mother.
She's shaking her head, yes, but she's saying that the adoptions were not legal.
Okay.
That this was kind of
Under the table kind of thing.
yeah, it just feels like there's something wrong with it. Like it wasn't supposed to, or it's something legal. Um, she's just saying in some states it would be considered illegal, is what she's saying.
Okay.
It's
Did you?
almost like selling children.
Oh,
It's almost
okay.
as if
Okay.
you could buy them.
Oh, wow.
Instead of adopting, it was almost like, here's money, thank you. You would
Okay.
buy a baby.
All right. Did you know Georgia Tann's reputation? And I have no idea who she is. At the time, did you know?
I did. I was aware of it. Yes.
What's your reputation? Was she like a prostitute or
She
something?
was a crook.
Oh,
She was a crook.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. What was your feud about with Betty Davis?
She says, I knew you were going to ask.
That must be a big
It's
one.
a big one. Um, let's just say, amongst women, what does a feud always start with? Men.
Oh,
It
so
started with a man. Let me explain this. From a very, very young age, I understood that sexual and my magnetic attraction powers, I kind of consider them as superpowers,
yeah.
you know, and I really used them. You know, I was almost like a predator. I knew that when it came to Hollywood, you needed your sleep your way to the top.
Mm.
Uh, and so in a lot of the relationships that I had, that was also the case. Now, I knew that I had just divorced my first husband, she says. Um, this was so many months later. And she's saying, I admired her because she was an extremely good actress, but she she didn't really like me. I had overheard her talk to another actress who she was really very critical of me. She said I wasn't pretty enough to be an actress and my voice sounds like a man. And I really took that as an insult. And I knew that she really fell in love with this man that we were doing a movie with. And I know it sounds horrible, but I needed a new husband to keep me financially afloat.
Oh my.
And yeah, I figured why not do two things in a row? I'll get my revenge and I get my husband. So she really never. She knew that that was the reason why I married him. She knew I didn't love him. I knew that she was madly in love with him, and I did it
Wow.
anyway to hurt her. So yes, that wasn't.
Who
Let's
was
just say
that
that
person?
wasn't one of my highlights.
Oh wow. Who was the man?
Um, it's either Frank or French. It sounds kind of French, like French show
Okay.
tone.
Okay.
Frank or Frank show.
I'll look
Something
it up.
that
That's
sounds
cool.
like that. I'm not really sure.
All right. Let's see. A lot of this I'm going to ask this. Oh, do you still visit your former Brentwood mansion? And then the rest of his questions or her questions, I don't know, uh, are included in my list. So, do you go visit your Brentwood? You do any haunting in your spare time?
No, I don't really do any haunting. I do sometimes just go up there. It's there's an energy there that kind of makes me feel like you know like I was home. So I sometimes visit, but I don't really haunt
Okay.
anything.
All right. What was your spiritual mission this life as Joan Crawford?
Um, for me, I mean, what I was here to learn was really um, the feeling of abandonment and everything that came with it. I mean, losing yourself, feeling guilty of your actions, self-hate. I mean, anything that comes with that. Whatever you can come up with. Let's just say that I'm pretty sure
Okay.
I went through it. So what I needed to do is I needed to learn to come to peace with all the horrible things that I had done. And I really needed to find a way to forgive myself. So what was I here to learn? Let's just say self-forgiveness.
Okay.
Because I did terrible things. I did lose myself completely. And it eventually turned into OCD. Is
Really?
that an illness? So she's making me feel like she did horrible things to her children, not to all, because she's saying that she was pretty depressed and she was in in a really bad state of mind when she adopted her first two children. In a way, she's making me feel like the adoption was not to have children. She wanted to keep her face in the media because
Oh,
she feel like her career was kind of up and down and all over the place. So in order for her to to keep herself known, that people wouldn't forget about her, she would do things like that. You know, she would have photographers come and take pictures and publish it just to keep her name in the paper and to keep her, you know, herself known. And when a lot of things didn't work out, she's showing me how she would abuse her children, pretty much like what her mom did. Basically, she
physically?
imitated her mother.
Physically?
She became what she hated the most. I became my mother, she says, you know. And I suffered with that for years, years and years and years. And then I did adopt two more children. Now, by then I had already kind of, what I see as kind of a spiritual awakening. I really started to try to heal myself. I started to relate to Source. I started talking to God again, which I had never done before. I started talking to God and praying, and I really worked on myself. So the children of, she's calling them the twins.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
twins didn't experience the abuse that the two older children did. There was a lot of years in between there that I kind of had time to come to peace and come to terms with what I had done. And I did have some spiritual people who would help me,
Good.
who would talk to me, who would go through the idea of, you know, everything happens for a reason, and you need to forgive yourself, and you need to reconnect with who you are. Um, if you're asking me what was I here to teach,
Mm-hmm.
um, that if you want something in life, you need to fight for it.
And you did.
You know, that that you really need to go for. You can't let anybody stop you, and I didn't let anybody stop me. And because of that, I also kind of opened the door for aging actresses to still have careers, because in those times, when you became a certain age, you were discarded. That's it.
Yeah.
You were too old. You're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And I disproved that, and I continued until I was, you know, well in my 40s. So I'm hoping that was that the fact that these uh, older actresses and actors who now have great careers, that I kind of merged that door open a little bit, and gave people a chance. Because guess what? You know, I got you know, awards for more at a later age than I did as a younger
Oh, how
actress.
about that? Wow, that's something else.
Yeah.
Do you think you and your mother have borderline personality disorder?
Yes.
It sounds like it. All right. Did you ever make amends with the two first adopted children?
No, I did
Oh,
not.
yeah, that must be tough. Uh, what's your biggest regret?
That when it comes to, let's just say that I had accepted that I had treated my children not correctly. However, I had tried to make amends. However, they completely blew it off. They did not want to have anything to do with it. And I had heard that they were going to tell all these horrible stories that I would have rather kept to myself.
Oh,
Um, so what do I regret? That I never got to patch up with them,
yeah.
um, that I never got to make up with them, but also that I never, because they rejected me, I became full of hate again.
Oh,
Hated them for rejecting me because I was trying. I
yeah.
was trying. And they couldn't see that. They couldn't see that I had been going through a process, and I did it for them, and they couldn't see it. And what that did was it brought me right back to that hate of, you know what?
That's disappointing.
Screw you.
That's disappointing.
And I passed away with that hate in my heart. I don't have it now
Yeah, of
anymore.
course
I
not.
understand why they did what they did. I also understand why let's just say that her book Um, a lot of things in there did not happen. A lot of it came out
Okay.
of hate for me. A
Okay.
lot of things were blown up into proportion. Not to say that what I did was wrong. I know what I did was wrong. I know I did beat them. I did do a lot of
Yeah.
physical pain to them. I know that.
Okay.
But she's making me feel like it was blown up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I hear my husband's here, so I've got to leave for the airport pretty soon. But I want to get through these last few questions and make them really brief. Can you
Okay.
share anything new about you that we don't, that the public at large really doesn't know about?
Who, that's a hard one, she says, because there has been so much publicity around my life.
Well, it could be there's nothing. I don't know. That's fine.
Yeah, she can't seem to come
Okay.
up with anything. Maybe that I left all of my children in some way or form. I loved all of them,
Okay.
although a lot of people don't believe that.
Yeah.
But I really did. It wasn't my intention to say I'm gonna adopt children to abuse them. I did want to make a family for myself.
Are you on the earth reincarnated now, or you plan to, at least within my lifetime?
Not right now. I'm actually helping women who are going through abuse of any kind of abuse, sexual abuse, who are
Awesome.
going through physical abuse from their spouse or from their father. I'm really helping. I don't want to say I see this as my duty, that this is kind of my punishment, now you get to help people who are being abused. I don't see it like that, but it's almost like I want to experience what it was like for my children. It's almost like I want in some way or form connect with that. It's almost
It is a connection. Yeah.
to help me grow, yeah,
Yeah.
to help me expand and learn more about other people's view of abuse.
Can you share just real briefly, because these can be kind of long, another life that you had that most influenced your one as Joan Crawford?
She's laughing. She's saying, well, let's just say no other life tops this one.
I bet it doesn't. How could it?
I've seen it all in this one, so I don't think any other life tops it. Maybe a life that nobody would see me do is I was a priest of the Catholic Church
Oh, wow.
in another life. I was actually a good person. Let's just say that.
Oh,
I was a
that's good.
good person. I was a good person, but people would take advantage of me. And I did help with a lot of the sick. She's kind of showing me like the plague time.
Oh, yeah.
And she did succumb to the disease herself, or himself. It was a man. Yeah, that was really a life of self-sacrifice, and it was really a life of just compassion and love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Erik, do you have anything to, well, first of all, do you have any final messages for us? And then I'll get Erik to ask you a question.
She says, yeah, your will is the most powerful drive that a human being can have. If you have the drive and the courage in your heart to go after what you want and not let anybody stop you, then you can create every reality you wish to experience.
You did. You sure did.
I did, in all its glory, she says.
Yes, I'm amazed. Okay, Erik, what would you like to ask? And Emma, if you want to ask anything too, it's fine.
He's saying, he's making me feel like, oh, okay. He's talking about her name. He said that he had heard that she didn't like the name that she got because it wasn't her original name. And she didn't like to be called Joan. And he's just checking if there was any particular reason why she didn't like to be called Joan or Crawford.
Okay.
She's just saying, I didn't like my original name my birth name that I was given, because it reminded me of a lot of misery. But I also didn't like the name that people had chosen for me, because it made me made me sound like I was some kind of crawfish or something. And I didn't like Joan because it was just too short and it didn't sound classy. I wanted people to pronounce it Joanne, but they never did, and it always bugged me. My whole life it bugged me.
That's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us, guys. I'm going to leave information on how to connect with Emma here on this in the title page in just a little bit. And thank you, Emma. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Erik. Love you all.
Now we gotta be careful. Erik is saying, "I love you, Mama. I'll be heading with you." he's coming to the plane, so he'll be sitting in between you and Dad. He says,
"Oh, that's awesome."
Papa. He calls him Papa for some reason.
Papa, that's right.
Yeah,
hey,
he calls Dad Papa.
Do you want to share anything else, Emma, with people? Other than your
well,
website?
Yeah, you can find me at www.emmanuelmcintosh.com. And we are, but I don't know when this video will be aired. So this Sunday, we're going to have a Learn It Live class for beginner mediumship. And we have on September 9th, the Channeling Erik Day in Belgium. So there's still 2 more days to sign up for that. After that, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disappoint you. But everything's going great. We have about 30 people right now from all over the world, including the States and Canada.
Sounds very awesome. Cool. Thank you, Emma.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
¡Prepárate!